Playoffs, week 14. Name
No one's
right
ever
here.
done that before.
I'm done. You want to talk about playoffs?
Name over here, Dustin over there.
I already did that.
DraftKings, let's do that part now. DraftKings, sign up for DraftKings, use promo code FST, follow the card, link in the description below, deposit at least $5. DraftKings hooks you up with a free entry into a contest, so if for some reason you're not in the playoffs, go ahead and do this, and it's a lot of fun.
There you go.
And I've been killing it.
He has. His videos have been pretty good. I will give him.
Wow.
I don't like.
I was going to say
credit.
somebody recorded, but we're actually recording it.
We are.
I cannot wait to show you that in
I don't like
1 week.
giving him credit unless he really deserves it, but he's been doing pretty well.
Arguably the first time all year. Maybe even last year too.
Hey, you don't give me credit either. Sometimes you do.
I give you way more credit than you give me.
I'll give you that. All right, Spiller and Hightower. We wanted to talk about this situation. Ingram owners, I'm sorry, but you can't. It's the playoffs. You can't cry for too long. You got to figure out what you're gonna do. A lot of questions are gonna come about Spiller and Hightower. What do you do? Who's gonna have the value? I think with Ingram, clear cut RB1. He was in your lineup every week. But with Spiller and Hightower, I think it just turns into a mess. I think Spiller's the guy to own in PPR. I think Hightower's probably the guy to own in Standard. But I do think they instantly get on the flex radar right out of the gate, even without us really knowing what's going to happen, because someone's going to have to touch the ball. But I think kind of the realm that you should be considering, in one league, I have Amendola, Charkandrick West, and then I picked up both of those Saints guys. That's kind of where I think you're thinking about it.
You're not doing it.
But
though.
unless there's a really good report that comes out, I don't think you can start him over those type of guys. But that's the realm where I think you need to start
that's
thinking.
not. It's maybe the realm.
The realm.
Maybe the realm, but I wouldn't do it for either of those guys. And here's my thing with it: don't get cute. You know, go with the guys that got you there. You're starting Amendola. You're starting West.
There's some question marks
But
there.
just
but
you know, just I understand where Dustin says pick them up, but I wouldn't get too cute with it. That's all that I'm saying.
yeah, and I'm not to the point where they're in my lineup. But if a good report comes out, Spiller's the starter. I'm thinking about it.
That's the only way.
I'm thinking about it.
Potentially.
But let's get in the forum questions. Matt Man 109. Charkandrick West that we were just talking about going up against San Diego, or the rookie Devontae Parker. Good matchup at home against the Giants.
And these are two guys that I loved Parker coming into the year. Didn't work, you know, obviously didn't work out. He finally got the snaps last week, and he's going to get a ton of snaps again this week. But I'm still going with West. I know where Vulture a touchdown from him, but West completely outsnapped him last week. Was on the field a lot more, and I just like West a little bit more. Whenever it's close like this, Ty always goes to the running backs. If you're ever in the forums, you know I always do that, so I'm going West here. All right, Dustin. Kevin, 2451. Wants to know, Chandron at Cleveland, West, apparently there's no other questions, versus San Diego, or LaShawn McCoy playing the Philadelphia Eagles.
Ooh,
Revenge game?
Yeah, that's tough. You know, so I think a lot of people are going to have questions about McCoy this week. I think a lot of people are going to have questions about West this week. What do you do with these guys? Drone has an amazing matchup. Do you go with him? But you can say the same thing about West. This one's tough.
He's thinking about it right now. He's
this
pottering for time.
Well, then the McCoy situation is an absolute mess. But Matthews is probably coming back. Same deal. I think I'm sticking with West here. That is a really juicy matchup for him. I think they will be playing with the lead, and I think there will be enough points for him and Ware to be potentially even RB2s this week in terms of where they end up with their point total. So West is a little scary, but he doesn't scare me that much against San Diego. Who would you go?
I think I'm going Chandron. He gets so many touches, and Cleveland's terrible.
But San
I'm probably not going to rake it that way.
There's a good
I would want to say, me not it being my team, I would go that way. I don't think I'd rank it that way, and I don't know if I had the guts to do it.
That game could be like 12 to 1. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll see. But I don't know. It's extremely close. Next one comes from Cantix. We'll go with that. Drew Brees at Tampa Bay, or Blake Bortles on fire, going up against the Colts.
So I've been watching my DraftKings video every week. I said, it was probably about 5 weeks ago, I was like, I'm going to keep picking Bortles until they respect him. I've kept picking him. They keep not respecting him.
Keeps blowing up.
Keeps blowing up. So whenever we first were doing the pre-show, I was like, I think I'm going Drew. I think Dustin talked me out of it.
He's coming around.
You know what? I gotta respect him just like DraftKings needs to. I'm going Bortles. The guy's been ridiculous. They throw the ball a million times. His
Gets
defense gets turns back. Their defense is on board. Julius Thomas being 100% healthy has really helped them as well. I'm going Blake Bortles here.
Can't hate it.
Can't hate.
Let's get into those dud sleepers and deep sleepers. My dud, I'm going with Darren McFadden. That offense looks terrible. And McFadden fumbled 2 times. We'll see if that impacts how many times he touches the ball. Probably not, but he got banged up. He's got a tough matchup at Green Bay. You're still starting him in a lot of situations, but if you have another decent option, like in a full-point PPR, I would be very close between him and Spiller. That's where I got him this week. My sleeper, Kansas City's defense. Absolutely love them this week. They were available in about 30% of leagues heading into the waiver wire week. Going up against San Diego, I see a pick 6 all day. Rivers is good for at least a few of those a year, and I like him this week. And then my deep sleeper, Johnny Football. Here we go. Going up against the 49ers. Again, that game could be 12-9, but it's one of those games where the defenses aren't that great, the offenses aren't that great, but something's got to give. There's going to be some opportunities for Johnny Football. The matchup is decent. Don't go crazy, but in one league, I had him and Cutler, and I was able to get Winston. I'm going Winston, but if someone else took Winston, I would be starting Manziel over Cutler.
I gotcha.
I'm just saying that's where I have him in the Cutler range.
Okay.
I'm not going crazy, but 12, 14 team leagues.
No, I gotcha. I'm just laughing at that. You could have said that in a much simpler way.
I had to make it
Other than the,
complicated.
in theory, if it didn't happen on your own team.
There was a
then you
good
would've done
chance
it.
I was going to start Manziel in one of my leagues.
He wants to
but
start him over Tannehill. Tell him he's crazy.
I'm probably not going to.
Tell him he's crazy, people.
I love that.
All right. My dud, and I really love the matchup, so don't hate on this, is Jameis Winston, however. Jameis Winston playing New Orleans Saints, it's a terrible thing, and while he's still going to be ranked, he could be even inside my top 12. What this signifies is, you're in the playoffs, do not get cute, go with the guys that got you there. And Winston, while he blew up one game and he had 5 TDs, in his last 6, he's only thrown for 1 touchdown pass in 5 of his last 6, so, now granted he can rush some in there as well, so you like that. I think he could very well have a great game. I'm just saying, don't get too cute and be like, oh, I don't really love Rodgers' matchup, so I'm going to sit him, or something crazy like that. Just, I've seen it before. People get weird in the playoffs. Don't get weird. All right, my sleeper is going to be James White. I know what you're thinking. Will Namco, he blew up and had his career high in catches and 130 and like a touch last week. But people are still worried about him because it is the Patriots, because Blunt there, Bolden 2 weeks ago had more yards than him. That's why coming into this week, we were a little uncertain about him. But I think it's official. I think he solidified the Dion Lewis role on this Patriots team. I'm starting him. I've picked him up in a couple PPR leagues that he was still available. I'm going to start him over some guys. I think he's a great flex option in a PPR only. And my deep sleeper is going to be Marvin Jones. If you're looking for a Hail Mary play, I like Marvin Jones. He's playing against the Steelers. They're 30th against wide receivers in terms of giving up fantasy points. And in the last couple weeks, he's had 5, 6, 9, 6 targets. That's probably a better way to say that as well. Probably averaged around 7 targets in his last 6 games.
There you go.
There's a less smart way to do it. And I like that because I'm a big target guy. You know that. So there's my dud sleeper and deep sleeper. Moving on.
Take a look at Mike's. His dud's Matt Ryan. I mean, he has been a disappointment this year. Tough matchup against the Panthers. The inconsistencies with Ryan. Ryan or Winston. I'd say that would be a pretty tough one right there. I'd say they're right in the same realm. His sleeper, Sean Drone. We've been talking about that game a good bit.
Yeah, fantasy football. It's the only reason you talk about that game.
San Francisco, Cleveland. Here we come. But he's going to get the touches. There's no timetable for Hyde's return. He could have a decent week just from volume. And then his deep sleeper is going CJ Spiller. He still has the big. He still has.
Of course he is.
The big play potential. Even if he only gets maybe 5 or 6 more touches than he normally would, puts him in the flex.
Like 5 years ago, when Spiller had that amazing 4-game stretch, Mike has drafted him every year since then. And
his per touch stats were ridiculous.
That was 4 years ago, right?
He was a machine.
And I am going to bounce it off the ceiling. If you noticed in the last video, I was looking up.
Okay.
But I got to call it, apparently. Calling the shot.
Yeah, it's like 8. So that's it. Good luck in the playoffs. Subscribe to our channel. Get in the forums if you got any questions. Oh, see, that was awful. I got in his head, folks. He's always trying to get into my head, but that time I got in